Hi, and welcome to CryptoBiography. I'm your host, Brandon Starr. This is episode 215 of CryptoBiography, and it is part 10 of Snake Magic. And here we go. We would like the long bars, the leader said. The nasrach you may keep. Very well, Garrick said. How much time do you need to get the orbs? We can be back here within 2 hours, she said. Then we have an agreement, Garrick said. We will be here. Some nasrach left, though others remained, not across the road, but backing away to the tree line. Garrick had Ogden take Neidre back to the cook wagon, where she restarted her preparations for the evening meal. If they were right about 2 hours, they would be back, and presumably the exchange would be made shortly after the evening meal. There was no offer made to the nasrach to join them for food, and Neidre did not expect such an offer to be made later. She did not prepare extra. She found herself looking in the trees to see if any more nasrach would make themselves visible. But the humans were all around the wagon train now, on high alert, and she saw none of them. The 2 hours passed, and Neidre served the stew. There was some grumbling, but everyone was too distracted by the upcoming meeting with the nasrach to cause any real trouble. Neidre saw that Garrick, who was usually a big eater, had only one smallish bowl of her stew and finished it quickly. He's nervous, she thought. After dinner, she cleaned up as best she could. Fortunately for her, everyone was required to bring their own bowl, plate, and utensils, except for Garrick, and so her cleaning was limited mainly to the cookware. Ogden poked his head over the back of the seat and said to her, Garrick wants you there when we make the exchange. Why? Neidre thought. The nasrach didn't want me. But she was interested in seeing them some more, so she didn't mind at all. She finished her prep work for the cooking and waited nervously for the nasrach to return. When they did, less than an hour later, Garrick and the humans lined up again. The nasrach kept to a group not far from the trees, which included the 3 leaders. 4 nasrach came bearing 2 heavy chests. They stopped some 10 paces from the humans and placed the chests down. Garrick made a motion, and several of the guards came forward with 3 chests. The nasrach lifted the lids on their chests. Inside were 50 orbs. Unlike the canid orbs, which glowed blue, these glowed golden. Garrick made a motion, and the guards lifted the lids. As they raised towards her, she did not have a very clear view, but what she could see confirmed that the 3 chests were filled with large gold bars, which must be long bars. Eugene grabbed her arms. Neidre was shocked. She hadn't made a move. Why was he holding her down? In an instant she knew. Garrick raised his hands, one of which held a canid orb. It was already changing from blue to red, and hot light, but a strange purple color, flowed forward and toward the nasrach. Before the first ones could do anything but back up a tail's length, the energy washed over them. They screamed and fell. The energy rolled and flowed around the chests with the 50 nasrach orbs, not harming them at all. It chased down the nasrach, who started to turn and run into the woods. Some were fast enough to escape. Others, including the female nasrach leader, just under the main leader, got caught and died screaming. Neidre felt sick. The bodies of the dead nasrach were twitching and curling in on themselves as though they were burning leaves. The nasrach with bows all raised them and loosed. Garrick released his spell and brought up a shield. It was not particularly large, and Neidre, suspecting this, wrenched out of Eugene's grasp and dove behind Garrick. Several guards on the far left and right were hit and yelled in pain, being struck by as many as 3 arrows each. Without waiting for them to reload, Neidre slithered away towards the back of the wagon train. Eugene did not follow her. Apparently he only meant to make sure she didn't stop Garrick from using magic. She wasn't sure what she would do. She made for the cook wagon in something very close to panic. Behind her, she heard sounds of magic being cast, which she assumed was more from Garrick. She wished she could say, even to herself, that she had not seen it coming, that his actions shocked her, but she couldn't. Her life had been more than enough to prove that any action was possible from Garrick and the other humans in any situation where they felt superior. Right when she got to the cook wagon and was about to mount it, she caught a bit of movement from the corner of her eye. The nasrach she had seen before from the trees was back, again just inside the tree line, on the side closest to the wagon. Neidre had no idea what was going to happen, yet she did not hesitate for an instant. She looked around, but the humans were all fighting the nasrach at the front of the wagon train, or were running there. The path was clear. Neidre gave a moment's thought to the idea that the nasrach were going to flank and destroy the humans, but a new burst of magical light made her doubt that. She slithered at top speed, nearly ramming into the nasrach in the trees. "Come," the nasrach said. "We must get far enough away that you'll be safe." She turned and slithered away, and Neidre followed her. They went for quite a while, until there was absolutely no sound of the battle behind them. Neidre wondered what would happen to her. Out here, by herself, with no weapons and no provisions, she could be waylaid by the other nasrach or by anything else, or she could be led away until lost, then abandoned to starve or die of thirst or exposure to the elements. But the nasrach stopped by a stream. It was flowing more or less in the direction of the wagon train. "This water is clean," the nasrach said. "We've gone far enough for now. Drink and rest." Neidre did so, looping her tail around a stout branch and lowering herself enough to scoop water with her hands. She did not know this nasrach's intentions, but she decided to assume the best. "Thank you," she said. "You speak the human tongue?" "Yes," she replied. Now that she saw her up close, Neidre decided she was beautiful. She had large, dark eyes and was smiling in a way that put Neidre at ease. "My mother was raised by the humans, but she got away some time ago. She taught it to me." "I was told the nasrach adults die after mating," Neidre said. "Yeah," the nasrach said. "They say a lot of things that aren't true. It's to keep you docile and in control. After all, if there was a chance that you had living parents, wouldn't you want to escape to try to meet them?" Neidre considered this. "Yes." "Well, they may be alive, I don't know," the nasrach said. Neidre, still hanging by her tail, took one more scoop of water with her hands and drank it, thinking. Then she pulled herself back to the bank. "How would I know them? Were you raised from the egg by the humans?" "I think so, yes. I don't remember any adult nasrach growing up." "Then I don't know how you'll ever know. Sorry," she said. "But not all is lost. I'm Hefrid, by the way." "I'm Neidre." "Really?" Hefrid said. "Well, I guess I shouldn't be surprised." "Why?" Neidre asked. "Neidre is nearly the word snake in our tongue. They just named you Snake," Hefrid said. "Oh," Neidre said. She hadn't heard anyone else with her name, but the meaning had never been explained to her before. "Don't feel bad. The humans give the nasrach-based names they think are bad or ugly on purpose. My mother's name is Hael, which actually means ugly. Yet she's anything but," she said. "And you're lovely too. Need a bit of color, though." "Yes, the leader said something about me being colorless," Neidre said. "I don't know what she meant." "Well, we can leave some details out for now until we know the situation," Hefrid said. "And what does your name mean, Hefrid?" "Lovely." "Ah, so you weren't named by the humans?" "No, like I said, my mother was, but since she was free before she had me, she gave me a nicer name. Also, Hefrid is what one might call a real nasrach name. You know, one that nasrach actually give each other." "I see," Neidre said. "Don't worry, my mother kept her human-given name as a badge of pride. After all, not everyone gets away from the humans." Hefrid gestured. "We should make our way back. Our town is on the other side of the road, so we'll have to be careful not to run into the humans." "You're taking me to your home?" Neidre asked. "Yes. After the first time I saw you, I went back to our camp and let them know I was going to try to get you out of the humans' clutches. I figured the exchange would go smoothly and I would have to follow the wagon train, possibly for days. But when the fighting broke out, I knew the time had come." "Will it matter that I'm different? Colorless?" Neidre asked. Hefrid, who was ahead of her, stopped and looked back at her. "Don't worry about that. You'll be brought in, and if those 2 scales I see are any indication, there won't be a question of you being colorless for long. We can talk more later, but for now, we should stay quiet so we don't get caught unawares by any humans. If they got driven off the road this way, or, worse, won the fight and are searching for you." Yes," and Neidre agreed quietly. They moved along, but for some time saw no humans. Finally, they reached the road. They were down from the battle site, but not by much. The wagon train was visible, as was the spot where the nasrach were attacked, as they were in front of the wagon train. The nasrach were still dead on the ground. Some humans were laid by the wagons, which were dead and which injured, Neidre couldn't tell at this distance. The rest of the humans seemed to all be among the wagons, undertaking various preparations. All of the chests were by the wagon behind Garrick's carriage. They won the fight, Neidre thought. We must be careful. Heffred must have been thinking along the same lines. They won, but not so well that they were able to chase my people through the trees, she whispered to Neidre. I think we should make our way to that turn down the road and get across there. And that's the end of the episode for this week. Hope you're enjoying it. If you have any comments or questions about this episode or previous episodes, CryptoBiography@gmail.com, or hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. And thanks for listening. Words and music, copyright 2021, CryptoBiography LLC, all rights reserved. Characters and events are fictional, fictionalized, or satirical.